Hello, welcome to April 26th, 2023. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation video, an exercise that I perform every morning shortly after waking up. It's now 4:43 a.m. I do this in order to remember my life objectives and principles, those which are outlined in my book, Going Alone, and to see how I did applying those to the challenges and opportunities of yesterday and to plan for today. First, last night and yesterday. I slept pretty good last night. Slept pretty much through the night, although I did wake up maybe half hour before the alarm. In not worry, but just kind of in a just pre-dawn wakefulness. Kind of like floating. It's like as you float to the surface from a deep dive down underwater, and you can sense yourself getting near the top, and just let the body relax and about to burst through the top. That's what I felt like. That was a good feeling. Not worried, but just kind of like a sense of peace, which is nice. Boy, I had a good day on Sunday. Yumiko and I were done with all of our chores and all of our shopping, and I just basically, the weather was really nice, and I sat outside. We've got a couple of Adirondack chairs in the front yard, which is just the sweetest little yard ever. Oh my goodness. And I just sat out there. We've got a big umbrella that I could maneuver around, one of those big garden umbrellas with a crank that lifts away high. And I just sat out there with my big book and just read for hours with my little glass of water, and just the right tempo of humanity passing by the front of the house. Not too much, not too little. And we're kind of set back a little bit so no one can really sense that in there. And I watch the dogs meandering through the yard, bees flowing through, visiting the flowers. And there's crows that come by and perch on the fence posts. And there's squirrels that are, dash in and out. It's truly, I really couldn't script a better place to spend a Sunday. Boy, and the book was so good, and it was meandering in and out of fascinating thoughts, just reshaping my understanding of reason and logic and how we make sense of the world. The book deals with those things. It's a good day. I think that kind of set the stage for the rest of the, well, at least until today. It's part of the reason I felt so good since then. And yesterday I woke up feeling 35. Maybe there's something to that. Also, since I've announcing my retirement date, which is December 16th, 2024, by the way, has really had a what would be the word to describe it? A systemic effect. That's the right word. That's the word I wanted. It's like taking a medicine that has taken just a little while to filter through the whole system, and that even though it's now 19 months, it's no longer 20 months. Now it's now 19 months away. Ooh, well, it feels real. And I will make it real. The only contingency is family readiness, right? If my daughter's not safely situated before then, I won't leave. But other than that, I'll be out here. And I think I won't say that. It's a plan. Let's get on with it. Oh wait, I forgot to talk about the particulars of yesterday. It's just a normal day of work. I had my normal challenges. I just took them on. And even those things, it was more like working in a potato chip salting factory. Just the potato chips are going by on the conveyor belt, and I've got my salt shaker. Just the right amount of salt on the potato chips. That's what yesterday felt like. Routine and standard. Not frenetic and or frantic I wonder which one. I wonder if there's a difference between those two words, frenetic and frantic. It didn't feel like either of those. And even though tomorrow is a big deadline, I've got a big deadline tomorrow. I mean, this is a heavy week. You want to come up here? I might get a visitor. You want to come up here? Come on up. Come on. Ollie. Ollie. Here we come. Come on. Oh, don't slip. Let's do the good life. My 7 objectives are to be always ready to die, to have my affairs, my relationships, and my life's mission complete when they are. 2, to make good and effective use of time, to not let the days slip by. 3, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. That's these 7 and 34 that I'm reciting now. And I do that by thinking about them every day. 4, to cultivate good emotional reactions, to become someone who doesn't fly off the handle. I don't fly off the handle anymore, but I do lose my balance from time to time. Yumiko is very keen to see when that's happening, and I'm loath to do that anymore. I'm getting much better. 5, to perform good actions, little things, big things, every size thing I can find. 6, to recognize my true limits and my true opportunities so that I'm avoiding endeavoring towards things that are impossible and applying my efforts where they can be best used. And 7, to do just one thing at a time and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully, just like I'm speaking right now. And this is a conscious effort. I don't normally speak in measured tones. I am a rather frantic or frenetic speaker. But through years of practice now, I've mellowed it down. And I'm pretty much like this most of the time now. It's like riding a bicycle. It takes work, but after a while it becomes automatic. You're not born knowing how to do it. Now my 34 principles. 1 is the principle of war, to always want to be fighting against anything that I already hold as true or any new propositions of truth that seem important. 2, the principle of reason, which has sub-principles of honesty, objectivity, doubt, and humiliation. To be a reasonable man, honest with myself and others, objective in my view, a fierce skeptic, and grateful for the chance to discover that I'm wrong. Grateful for it. Next is homunculus. I don't think I have a soul, or that any of us do. I think that's a made-up idea. But I do, it seems, have a consciousness. So that's what I focus on. Tending to, mending even, my consciousness so that I can utilize it well through my life. The next principle is the anchor hold, which is the home of the homunculus. Look up the word, it's an interesting word, anchor hold, and the word anchorite or anchoritis. A little devoted religious person pent up in their walled up little cell next to the church, looking through their squint at the services, being passed food in and the waste out. That's the homunculus, my little consciousness stuck inside this walled up cranium, peeking out through the eyes, sustenance coming in, waste going out. Next is the home of good and evil. Right and wrong I don't believe, are absolutes. They're opinions settled on by the attempt of reason. And we are good to work hard at developing a strong and reality-based sense of right and wrong. not just opinions or want, and then to work on aligning with others. Next comes purpose, the principle of purpose, that is. I have 3 purpi. I don't know if that's really a word anymore. To be one, to be a good husband and father. 2, to be a virtuous man, where virtue is simply working to pursue the improvement of the well-being of thinking creatures. There's a mouthful. My 3rd purpose is to pursue whatever personal aim I have in life, which for me is the sharing of my message in the book Going Alone. Next comes the atomic principle. Everything is made of bits and pieces. And then the principle of nature. Everything and everyone have some particular nature, and we do better if we can recognize what that is and then live in accordance with it. And then the pirate ride. My suggestion that free will is an illusion. I can't prove that. But nor do I believe that anyone can prove that free will is something that we possess. Although I can't really convince myself that it's the case in an operational perspective. I believe it, but I'm not convinced of it. Next comes the principle of maturity and the sub-principles of wisdom, of fortitude, prudence. There's more, I think. Felicity, I think, is the other one. They're all in the book. I can look them up if I need to. But this is an older copy. I wonder if it has the latest stuff. Wisdom, fortitude. This is an old one. Wisdom, fortitude, and integrity. I think I added a few after that. We are mature when we wisely remember our past successes and failures and have the fortitude to do better. We can then enjoy the integrity of a life in alignment with our values, lived in alignment with our values. Maybe the ones that I'm thinking about are next. I think that's it. Next is the principle of family. A strong recognition or recommendation to create a family in our lives. It doesn't have to be this type of family. It doesn't have to mean you have to put a ring on anything. It can be a family, it's a community of friends, but we need some sort of a social structure and safety net and community of sorts. Next comes, wow, what's after that? What's after family? It's a social principle, family. I think the next one is temperance. The ability to control our consumption of life. And the sub-principles are suffering, because we suffer when we tell ourselves no. Simplicity, because a simple life is a tempered life. And apathy, the ability to be disconnected from the things that are outside of beyond our reach. Suffering, simplicity, and apathy. Next comes, what is it next? Oh, life will not go well, and it won't. There'll be harsh and difficult speed bumps along the way. And then the next principle is the horror show, a reminder that sometimes life doesn't just go poorly, it goes terribly, horrifyingly bad. And that's happening to people in our lives now and is coming for us too. The next principle is called that which must be borne, B-O-R-N-E, carried, bared, carried, borne. You get the idea. And what we have to bear in life is the fact of that life will not go well and the horror show. Next is the Feast of Woeful. The Feast of Woeful is what we do when we get upset. And we spew that upset onto our loved ones and our acquaintances. And this principle is simply a suggestion to not do that, to instead find other ways to release that feeling, including, or just bottling it up inside, as long as we don't contaminate or harm others in that process. I used to do that a long time ago. Used to get upset visibly in front of my family. Decades have passed since I was that guy. Now I just get unsettled and flustered. And like I said, my wife's very keen to that. She knows when that's happening, and I don't want to ever put her through any of that again. So I bottle it up, and I find other ways to dispense it. Making these videos, thinking about things, thinking aloud, different things. And it works to a greater or lesser degree. But some of it I just have to bear to the end. Next comes distraction. We spend our lives distracting ourselves from the great indifference, the next principle, which is the observation of the emptiness of the universe, that we seem to be alone. There seems to be no God or gods to look after us. All we have is one another. And then the best seat in the house, a suggestion to be all right with who I am and where I am and what I'm doing, and to, well, all the while striving to be better and do better and be better. Next comes, I feel like I might miss one right here. Yeah, I would. There's one I was about to miss. The best seat in the house. Well, no, the one I just said, so I covered that one. Good. The next one after that comes is the restless man. A reminder that for some of us, maybe a lot of us, sometime around the late teens, early 20s, we get some restlessness in our minds that we would like to have an adventure in life. That's all that is, a recognition that that's something that happens. And then just maybe a further add that there's consequences to heeding, both there are consequences to both heeding and ignoring that feeling. If we heed it, then we embark on the next principle, which is called the path of wildness. It's a way to move forward and into and through new life. It's a difficult thing to do. It's probably one of the focus elements of my book. It's what I started off writing the book about. What does that path of wildness lead us to? That would be the next principle, the great life adventure. That yield that comes of throwing ourselves into the midst of new life. Next comes the risk of avoiding risk. This principle suggests that there are consequences to ignoring the restlessness or overdoing it. The trick is to find some balance between, if we're so called, if we so feel that restlessness, find a balance between the one side or the other. Tricky thing to do. I think I've just managed to pull it off here in this last 10 years. Coming back to America allowed me to pull it off. If I hadn't come back to America, I would have completed my raising of my daughter, but I would not have the security and be able to retire, which is something I'm very much looking forward to, the peace of some latter years. Almost missed that chance. And it wasn't through good thinking on my part, it was just dumb luck that I came back and managed to get on that last train out. Okay, now, what's after that comes sin and damnation. There are 7 sins in my worldview, and the consequence of engaging in these sins is kind of a damnation in the here and now. These sins are, and they relate to communication mostly: falsity, being untrue; credulity, believing things that are untrue, or believing things too easily; faith, believing things where we rest the foundation of our belief on the belief itself; superstition, a categorical area of nonsense; dogma, belief based on tradition and being impressed by an institution; authority, belief based on the office and the status of those who promote the ideas; gossip and rumor are the last 2. There are 8 of them. Did I say 7 before? There are 8 sins. Engaging in any of those yields, like I said, damnation in the here and now. Next comes complete oblivion. Since I don't believe I have a soul and I don't believe in God, I don't believe in any afterlife. That means that when I'm dead, that's it for me and everybody. Complete oblivion. The sub-principles here are no final reunion. We won't see our loved ones again. No final reconciliation. If we can't see our loved ones again, there's no chance to reconcile any differences that we parted ways with upon death. And then no final judgment, because if there's no God, no afterlife, no soul, then there's no agency or circumstance or entity upon which judgment can be passed. Okay, now here I might kind of slip up a little bit. I think the next one is the season of philosophy, which is just a reminder to keep a pen and paper ready whenever we begin to have inspiring words and ideas. Then the principle of script writing, the idea of forecasting ahead the way things are going to go. It's like planning through the day and the moments. And I do that to a greater or lesser degree, lesser lately, but I should get back on that track of planning out how, like, a meeting is coming up, and I'll think about who's going to be in the meeting and how that meeting is going to go. I guess I do that in terms of I always make an agenda. But I do it even in other circumstances. When I go into the supermarket with my wife and it's crowded, I'll plan how I'm going to engage the crowd and manage the little sense of anxiety that comes with being in a crowded place. Get it? Next comes the principle called the bullseye aim, which is I put deliberately after the script writing principle, because even though I can have a script, the result should be expected to be like throwing darts. Every once in a while I'll hit a bullseye, but mostly I'll miss. The next principle is called the uphill climb, a reminder to climb, finish the day higher up this mountain than I was before. It's in a mountain apparently with no summit, but I'll die somewhere higher. Hopefully, if I die tonight, I'll have died higher up the mountain than I was today. It yields a greater and more beautiful vista and view from every elevation. I'd rather climb than dig a hobbit hole into the side and stay in one place for the rest of my life, literally and figuratively. The next principle is called arena and utility. Life is an arena for the development of objectives and principles that we can then apply towards better ends. Next is nothing is enough. This principle suggests that less is best. And I've been making a steady effort all through my adult life to offload the things that come into my life. I have very little anymore, and it feels great. And then the 34th and final principle is called the principle of fun. A simple reminder to enjoy life now, as well as the memory of yesterday and the planning for tomorrow. It makes me smile just to think about it. Well, there you go. There's my Good Life Creed, all laid out. I think that's the first time that I've done the full version in naming each item and then detailing it since I returned from Japan in February. It's good to be back. I feel better. I feel amazingly good. Nice. But remember, the bullseye aim, right? And life will not go well. And the horror show. Keep those things in mind, Kurt. It's coming for you. Well, with that, let's think about the day. It's a big day. Tomorrow's a bigger day. So I need to spend today at work planning for tomorrow's big day. I'll work hard. I'll do my duty. I'll attend my meetings. I'll have my agendas ready. I'll keep my balance and equanimity throughout the day. And then I'll finish the day having had a nice walk at lunchtime with my wife, and then a nice evening walk with the dogs as well. We end at lunch. Then I'll have dinner and a nice show together with my wife, and then I'll go to bed. It'll be a good day, complete and thorough. And with that, my life is done, if not finished. Take care.